Hey YouTube, Brian here, back with another video. Sorry that it's been a while since I last uploaded, as I've been busy working on a new series I have planned, and also I've been preparing for a regionals that was taking place in my area on the same weekend as YCS Providence. I ended up deciding not to go to Providence as it was really out of the way from where I am, and I didn't want to pay release week prices for the new Maliss support as well as the new Administer cards. How did the regional go? Well, let's just say it was a short day. Here's the deck I ran, and I'll explain some of the differences between this deck and the sample deck I showed in my previous video. I only ran 2 Chessies because she's not a starter by herself. The 2-card combos with her are the weakest of all the 2-card combos, and I didn't want to brick on too many names in my hand. You definitely want at least 2, but the 3rd copy is completely optional. Next, you may notice that I have cut TB11 entirely from the deck. I initially thought TB11 was necessary to make White Rabbit into a 1-card starter, but actually MTP07 works perfectly fine. Basically, when you start with White Rabbit as your starter, you're going to set your 07, banish White Rabbit to search for March Hare. After White Rabbit comes back, you're going to use March Hare to banish your 07, summon itself, and link for Splash Mage. Splash Mage will summon back either of them, and you can link for your Red Ransom to search for Underground. Underground can banish your Dormouse, and then Dormouse can banish your Chessie Cat. At this point, you can basically combo however you want, so go ahead and make Wicked, make your Lingaribo to banish Ransom, and banish another copy of March Hare. And then you can link the 2 for your White Binder, banish a name, and then set GWC 06 from deck. Here you can then make Firewall, and then use your backup to add Wizard and discard your March Hare, or if you have another card to discard, it'll probably be better to discard something else, that way you can use March Hare on your opponent's turn instead. And then here we can use Wizard to summon back something from the graveyard. Notably, Wizard doesn't negate the effects of whatever he summons, so if you had a card to banish off Chessie, you can actually get your Chessie draw now by using Wizard to summon your Chessie and then using your Chessie effect to draw 2. In this scenario, we're just going to assume that you only have the White Rabbit though, and then from here you can just link 3 for your Cryptor. And then you're going to use your Cryptor effect to shuffle your MTP07 back into the deck, so that on your opponent's turn, you can reset the MTP07 using your White Rabbit once you banish it with your White Binder. Another alternative line you can do is, instead of making Firewall, you can make your Cryptor first, and then after you summon Wizard by summoning another name from grave, you can link all 3 for Allied Code Talker instead. So your choices here are to make Firewall plus Cryptor or Allied Code Talker plus Cryptor. But you always want to make Cryptor because Cryptor shuffling your MTP means that you get 2 non-targeting banishes on the next turn. That's how you can combo with White Rabbit even without TB11. Obviously, it can't play around most hand traps like all of the other 1-card combos, but the fact that MTP07 is now an insulator and extender made the decision to cut TB11 quite easy for me. But I will be honest, however, that cutting TB11 isn't a black and white decision. If you watch my 1 and 2 card combo videos, you'll know that some of the combos I showed use TB11 to reach the full combo end board of Firewall, Echoed, Cryptor Engrave, and MTP plus GWC set. Without TB11, it means certain combos will have a lower ceiling, meaning that instead of a full end board, you might be missing the Allied Code Talker, or you might not have Cryptor in rotation, or you might not have drawn as many cards. If you're okay with that, then feel free to cut the TB11. I also ended up reducing my Bestial count to make room for Earlier Darkness. While I do still think the Bestials are great extenders for the deck, they can be awkward sometimes with your Cyber locks, and I felt the deck needed slightly more consistency to help smooth out some of its hands. March Hare enabling Earlier to be completely free was great, but Earlier also makes siding easier no matter if you're going first or second. Going second, I was very frequently siding out a Terraforming and 2 Earliers for a playset of any card from my side deck. With the extra space in the main deck, I decided to main deck 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird, as I felt that the deck needed stronger answers against Mitsurugi in all of its variants. This hand trap lineup worked great for me all day, but you can only do so much when your Mitsurugi opponent opens the limited Called by the Grave for your Droll and Lockbird both games. I guess my opponent was simply just better. In the extra deck, I decided to cut Typhon, Heat Soul, and Almirage for varying reasons. Typhon simply didn't come up enough, since in most situations I would already be locked into Link monsters or Cyberse monsters. Heat Soul was also rarely made, and in most situations I would prefer to make Ransom with Mirror set as my line of compromise. Almirage was one card that sounded great in theory, but in practice I found myself using very infrequently, as the hand trap plus backup line was very risky into any piece of interruption. For example, if I opened backup in Fualos as my only other monster, I'd rather just pass and wield the Fualos as a hand trap for my opponent instead of trying to use it to combo for a very weak combo line. In their place, however, I added a second Lingaribo, which is great for the mirror, but also sometimes very nice to trigger your Wicked effect after you had to use your first one at the start of your combo. Nightmare Cerberus as an answer to Chaos Hunter, since I expected that many people would play as a budget option over Meowls on a regional level, and Haggard as it was a pretty good mid-game recovery option in gummy board states. I still am not playing Link Spider myself, but I think it is a good option you can add if you're worried about your Nibiru recovery. The side hasn't changed much, but since Droll was moved to the main, I added Perulia to that slot as extra hate for Mitsurugi Raizio. I wasn't comfortable playing with 6 Charmies in the main, as I felt that I'd be dead drawing them going first or in mid-game scenarios, but your mileage may vary. Big shoutouts to James Nguyen for letting me borrow the Charmies for this event. He judges a lot of the events in the Seattle area, and he's a really chill dude, so thank you, James, for letting me borrow the Charmies. And also, big shoutout to Max for letting me borrow his German Impulses. The cards were great, and I'm sorry that I was not able to perform well with them. Overall, I did like the list and will probably continue playing it going forward, except for maybe one change that I'll go over later in the video. But for the second part of this video, I want to take a look at the Maliss deck lists, which topped YCS Providence this past weekend, as well as point out some trends that you may want to adopt yourself. First, engine-wise, the ratios seem pretty straightforward. Some players decided to play the third Chessie, while others did not, and some players decided to play TB11, while others did not. I think this is a very good demonstration that a lot of the time there isn't a quote-unquote correct version of your deck. Whether you play TB11 or the third Chessie or not, they are rarely the deciding factor on your performance, and the vast majority of the time it'll come down to technical play and skill in your piloting of the deck itself. Non-engine wise, across the board, it is pretty much agreed on that Fualos, Ash, Impermanence, and Impulse are must-plays, with players divided over Nibiru and Droll in that last spot. In the side deck, however, what did surprise me was the popularity of AI Meet You. I originally mentioned this card in my Alliance Insight First Look video, but have since moved off it as I believed more generic side cards like Solemn Strike and Thrust were better. This is something I may give another shot in testing, given its performance this weekend. The extra decks for most of the topping lists looked fairly standard, but one card that stood out to me was the inclusion of Topologic Bomber Dragon. This was one card I did not try in my own testing, but after reviewing the topping lists, I can see why they chose to play it. Maliss has a very difficult time dealing with Chaos Hunter, a piece of sided hate for Maliss that was rampant the entire weekend. While Artifact Lancia shuts us off for one turn, the Adagnister cards let us set up a half board and play for turn 3 and beyond. Chaos Hunter, however, will shut us down for the entirety of the game if she cannot be removed. Popular generic removal options like Little Knight and Access Hope Talker don't work as they need to banish, and even the searchable Maliss in the Mirror doesn't work as it needs to banish as part of its effect. I tried to remedy this issue by adding Nightmare Cerberus into my deck, but the issue with Nightmare Cerberus is that he's costly to make, and not all hands can continue to combo even after you make him, since he isn't a Cyberse Link monster that can turn on your backup and Wizard Adagnister. Bomber Dragon, however, gives you a way to out Chaos Hunter that is also a piece of interruption himself on your opponent's turn, given the right setup, and it's something that I will definitely try out in place of Nightmare Cerberus going forward. In the end, YCS Providence was won by Mitsurugi Raizio, a result that is not really surprising. While Maliss is a very strong deck and its board's nigh unbreakable when made, the deck simply suffers from there being a lot of targeted hate for it. Fualos, Meowls, Lancia, and Chaos Hunter can all make games feel out of your control, and the existence of these silver bullets means the deck will never be tier 0, like many were screaming before YCS Providence. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I thought I'd give everyone an update since I hadn't uploaded in a while, and I hope this video was useful to you all in some way. I've been working on a new video series behind the scenes that should hopefully release soon, so make sure to keep your eyes out for that. See you all in the next one.